Here's how you play the caked up king of brawl himself, Groot. Just recorded this entire video, but it had Spotify playing, so we are going to do this one more time. So listen up. On Groot's left click, he does have an auto attack that does some decent damage, and it's not a hit scan, but it sure does feel like it's hit scan because you don't really need to lead too much. You just got to put your crosshair on him, and it will land. On Groot's right click, he does have this mini nade, and when he throws it, it does good damage, but it also spread into mini segments that'll also do damage. So if enemies are grouped up and those spreads aren't able to go far, it just means even more damage from the nade. I am Groot! On Groot's left, he has these mini walls. These walls can actually be formatted in multiple different ways, including a ramp and horizontally. This can be, the horizontal only is used for if they have like an Iron Man out coming, you want to stuff it real quick, but outside of that, I would only really be using the ramp if you want to try to take a little bit of high ground, or the vertical, because the vertical is super good when in a fight. When these walls are up, they can be awakened. Awakened just means at any point where the wall is near anyone, if you land an attack or ability on them, the wall will hit them with another one of your auto attacks, essentially, similar damage. So you want to be popping these walls behind enemies all the time. They're great for blocking line of sight from the snipers in the back, and also just for creating brawly fights instead of ranged fights. They don't last for that long in terms of health, as they are indefinite until they're broken, but they don't have a ton of HP. So instead, that is mostly just your real quick cooldown walls, just to try to do as much damage as possible. Remember, you can have 3 of these walls out at a time. On Groot's E, he has another wall, but this wall is his tank wall. This thing is a monster. It has 700 HP, and every time you hit an enemy or awaken it with your abilities or your auto attack, it will also awaken, but instead of dealing damage, it'll give you temporary health. And as you can see here, I can keep hitting the enemies and keep climbing, and you can actually go all the way up to 1100 HP. This wall is going to be your main isolation. Chill group. This wall is going to be your main isolation wall. Anytime people overextend, if you have the capacity or range to throw a wall behind them, try to do so. And then you can try to block it off even further with these additional walls. So as they're running over the other walls, do deal extra damage to them. So not only are you dealing damage, but since this wall is behind them, you will also be gaining HP. It is the best of both worlds. Moral of the story, the more walls you can get behind a person or around them, the better. And last but not least, Groot has a large snare and imprison, so it'll pull enemies into the center, and then it'll constantly deal damage to them. This thing forces them to stay in that position all that time. They cannot leave. They have to stay right there. You typically want to throw this thing whenever there's not a shield ability in front of you. So you want to break Strange's shield or wait till you see Magneto use his shield and then use this ultimate at as many people as possible that have no way of stopping it, because this thing is game winning, especially when you start putting some walls behind the enemies. Check how much damage I could do to a tank with just one wall behind them when I ult. If you want to see proof of how strong this thing is, just look no further. I'm different. Groot's strategy is that he can turn anything into a close range engagement, and he shuts people off from overextending. If a tank is playing too confident, or if a DPS is playing and isolating themselves from the rest of the team, wall them off and create a short range engagement with your team. Focus that target and then move on. If there are people at range that are problems, use your tanky walls or a double set of another set of walls to press into that location without taking a bunch of fire from that enemy. Really good for locking down areas, isolating people in hallways. For example, if people are coming down this hallway and you're able to just toss this behind them and then get in there and throw a wall behind them, and you and your team can focus, they are doomed. That's going to do it for this guide today. If you like this kind of content, subscribes, follows, comments, all that stuff is super helpful to me. Come over to the Twitch, man, and join the family. We'd love to have you. Keep it locked right here for more information, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And you don't need the power of the Eagle sweatshirt.